What can I make for dinner? At first, I wasn't sure what to do. Was Mixie losing her marbles? Who gets that emotional over a flower? Then it hit me. The rosebud had been given to me out of kindness, and now I had given it to Mixie. She had never been treated kindly before. Suddenly, I knew what I had to do. I grabbed the troll's filthy hand and said, "This is for you, dear lady." She blushed and began to cry again. "Oh, thank you, knight. No one ever treated me so kindly before," she sobbed. "But now what am I going to do? Those guys are starving out there, and I don't want to cook you after you are so nice to me. Oh, this is a nightmare. What can I make for dinner?" Hopper hopped again. "I have an idea. How about we cook?" he croaked. The secret ingredient. Mixie led us to the kitchen. "Okay, here is the pot, and here are the ingredients. But there'll be trouble if the trolls find out that you guys aren't in the soup too," she warned. Then she took off her apron and left happily, smelling the rose, while we began to prepare the dinner. Here are the things we put into the soup: rotten fish, fermented potato sprouts, boiled larvae, super concentrated stinky cabbage, curdled milk, sour cream, dishwasher, toenail dirt, ogre earwax, troll dandruff, a spoonful of fresh cockroaches, and finally a secret ingredient that made the cauldron stink terribly. Here is the troll soup made by Geronimo and Hopper. Even grosser than curdled milk, even wilder than boiled larvae. The mysterious ingredient is stinky troll socks. We put the smelly soup on the fire and returned to the pantry to protect the dragon egg and wait for the trolls. We got there just in time. A minute later, the starving trolls began to arrive. They stormed noisily into the cave and threw themselves down onto the benches surrounding a long table. Then Chef Horrid, leader of the trolls, punched the table. "Mixie, where are you? I'm hungry. Where's the frog soup? Where's my stuffed mouse?" he demanded. Mixie grabbed the soup and swirled it into the room. I noticed she was brushed her hair and tucked the rose behind her ear. The chef scolded at her. "What's with the rose?" he growled. Then he saw the pot. Now that smells good. Very stinky," he remarked. "Now get lost and lose a rosebud. It looks ridiculous." Sadly, Mixie slunk from the room. Rats, more climbing. Mixie returned to the pantry in tears. "Do you see how they treat me? Like I'm some kind of dumb servant with no feelings. I'm sick of it. I don't ever want to cook for these trolls again," she sobbed. I put my paw on Mixie's huge hand. She was right. No one should be treated so badly. "Don't worry, Mixie. If we ever get out of this place, you can come with us. But first, we need to get out of here fast and take the egg with us." Hopper was so worried, he began hopping around the pantry in a panic. "They're going to eat us," he cried. In his panic, he tripped over my bag, spilling out the golden seeds. And the seeds began sprouting. What an incredible gift! In a few seconds, the seeds grew and grew and grew until they touched the ceiling. The branches became thick and strong, moving toward the sky, trying to find the light. With a crack, they crushed the rocks on the roof of the cave and opened up a gap of sky. We were free. Well, almost free. First, we had to climb up the branches while carrying the egg. Rats, more climbing. Plus, we needed to move fast. Any minute, the trolls would be after us. I was so stressed, I twisted my tail into a knot. Ouch! If only we had more time. Then I remembered the golden hourglass. I pulled it out and pressed the button and the sand stopped. Hooray! We now have one whole extra hour. The Great Dragon Battle.
No, more to the left. I started climbing up the trunk of the strange giant plant. The climb was hard and dangerous and seemed like would take forever. Every few minutes, the plant shook uncontrollably and I felt like I would splatter to the ground. Even worse, I was holding the enormous dragon egg and I couldn't see a thing. I felt like one of the 3 blind mice dressed up as a knight. Scribblehopper guided me from above while Mixie brought up the rear. Up and up and up we climbed. I did my best not to think about falling, dropping the egg, letting down my friends, not completing our mission, disappointing Sterling, or being eaten by the ferocious trolls. But the more I thought about not thinking about those things, the more I thought about them. My paws began shaking, rattling the egg. Scribblehopper tried to help. Don't worry, Knight. You're almost to the top. Just listen to my instructions and you'll be fine. Now, put your right foot more to the left and your left paw more to the right. Then move your right paw more to the right and move your right foot more to the right. No, move to the left. Right. To my right, which is your left. Or is that my left? Oops, Knight. Which one is my left again? Even though part of me wanted to strangle Scribblehopper, I was concentrating so hard trying to understand his ridiculous directions and climb on foot at a time. And I actually forgot to be afraid. Soon we reached the top of a rocky hill. We had done it! We are free! Exhausted, I placed the egg on a soft bit of moss. Good thing you tripped on my bag and those seeds sprouted. Otherwise, we'd probably be troll soup by now, I told Scribblehopper. Conquering fear. One secret to conquering your fear is to stay calm and determined and move at your own pace. The more you try, the more you will feel about yourself. He grinned. Oh, it wasn't hard, Knight, he said. I just started hopping around like this and bang! Scribblehopper tripped again. What? The egg! I squeaked. But it was too late. The egg began to roll down the mountain. Without thinking, I raced after it, grabbed it and began rolling down along with it all the way to the valley. And Scribblehopper and Mixie ran after me. Right then, the troll's drum began to sound. They had discovered our escape.
Did someone call me? I was looking around. frantically for somewhere to hide when suddenly Sparkle, Sterling, and Bitsy landed in front of us. They were a sight for sore eyes. We were all so excited to see one another, we hugged happily. For a moment, I almost forgot about the trolls. "How was your trip?" I asked Bitsy. "Not bad," the ladybug replied. "I not only found Sterling, the silver dragons, and the dragon of the rainbow, but I also met a friendly ant who led me to the elf woods. I found Thunderhorn, king of the elves, who promised he would lead his troops here." Right at that moment, we heard a deep voice announce, "Did someone call me? I, Thunderhorn, have arrived." We turned to see a majestic white deer trotting up. "Welcome to the company, King Thunderhorn," everyone cheered. A feeling of relief washed over me. King Thunderhorn was confident and courageous. He had been a big help in my previous battles in the Kingdom of Fantasy. I knew he could help us this time too. "Never fear," the deer proclaimed. "My troops will soon be here." Thunderhorn. King Thunderhorn is a mysterious king of the forest elves. No one knows why he always appears as a white deer, though there are rumors that Cackle caused it. Thunderhorn is wise, courageous, and always ready to defend those in trouble. He had snowy white fur and his horns are made of pure gold. "We will fight together to defend the Kingdom of Fantasy, and we will destroy Cackle's dark forces." See what I mean about confidence? That deer had a ton of it. Just then, Mixie spoke up. Excuse me, everyone," she said, waving her rolling pin in the air. "But would it be okay if I joined in the fight?" After introducing Mixie, I cheered along with everyone. "Welcome to the company, Mixie Von Troll." The battle. It was already nightfall when I saw two threatening clouds on the horizon. Then I took a better look. They weren't clouds after all. They were two armies that were approaching each other. From the east came the silver dragons and King Thunderhorn's army of elves. From the west came Cackle's dark forces. These included the dragons of fire and King Firebreath III at the command. The heartless knights, empty armor guided by Cackle's wickedness, the terrifying trolls, and a group of enormous and cruel ogres. The evil forces outnumbered us by far. I gulped. I had a feeling this wasn't going to be a very fair fight. Instinctively, we gathered around the egg to protect it. Sterling prepared her bow. Thunderhorn lowered his head to assume the attack position. Mixie waved her rolling pin, and Skibblehopper and I? Well, since we didn't have any weapons, we gathered onto the egg, ready to shield it from an attack. Then I spotted Cackle on her black dragon. Her icy cold laugh gathered in the night. "Ha ha 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 ha! Night, I challenge you. We have a score to settle, you and me. Now you will taste the fire of my black dragon," she shrieked. The black dragon? How strange. I remembered that a long time before I had hit him in a duel with my ring of light. I scratched my head. But didn't he leave town a long time ago? I asked. "Yes, you dirty rat. You ruined my old dragon. He's not into evil things anymore. This is his twin brother. But enough about dragons. Now I will make you pay. I will destroy the kingdom of your friend Stilton. And then I will take over all of the kingdom of fantasy. What could I do? I had to accept the challenge. I summoned the dragon of the rainbow. Then, trying to look courageous, I took a running leap to get up onto his back. Unfortunately, I missed. After a few more running starts and a few more misses, the dragon gave me a boost. Ready, knight? Cackles coughed. Before I could answer, I heard a thunder-like boom and felt the ground begin to shake. 1,000 dragons took flight into the sky. The battle had begun. I was immediately attacked by Cackle's black dragon, who flew a dangerous fireball in my direction. The dragon of the rainbow quickly pulled away. But still my whiskers singed. Ouch! Even worse, the dragon of the rainbow got zapped right on his tail. He shuddered in pain. But with an enormous effort, he kept going. We began to regain altitude. We flew higher and higher and higher. In fact, we were flying so high, I was getting short of breath. I needed oxygen. My charred whiskers became covered with ice. But then they suddenly felt better. The dragon had flown higher so that the frosty air would soothe my burned body parts. But the dragon of the rainbow was too weak to fly that high for long. He lost control and we began to fall. My life flashed before my eyes. My first squeak, my first nibble of cheese. Then luckily, the leaves of the trees broke our fall. Then Cackle spotted me. She lifted her pinky and shot a tremendous lightning bolt my way. It was headed right toward me, but Thunderhorn threw himself in front of me to protect me and saved my life. I stared in sorrow at that huge deer on the ground. His breathing was shallow and his eyes were half shut. It was a worthy battle, he whispered. I was crushed. My friend was dying before my eyes. I had to do something. But what? Then I remembered the special wheel of water in my bag. The nymph had said, just one drop can heal wounds, one sip gives strength, and 2 sips bring youth. I quickly tried to pour 1 drop into Thunderhorn's mouth, but Cackle arrived and my paws began to shake. More than 2 drops fell into Thunderhorn's lips. Oh no! There was a flash of a light. Suddenly, instead of a white deer with golden horns, a young elf prince stood before me. Thank you, knight, he said. You have broken Cackle's spell. I have to admit, I had not expected my dear friend suddenly to become an elf prince. But either way, I was glad he was alive. In fact, I was so happy that Thunderhorn was okay that I almost forgot about Cackle. When I turned back, I saw her mounting her black dragon. You've won for now, rodent knight, she shrieked. Once you've reversed one of my spells, I'm powerless for 24 hours. But I'm not done with you. She flew off in a rage. Tap, tap, tap. Now that the witch had left with her dark forces, there were only the dragons left on the battlefield. Still, things were pretty ugly between the dragons of fire and the silver dragons. Neither side was willing to call it quits. I was trying to decide what to do next when I heard a strange sound. Tap, tap, tap. It was a dragon egg. With a crack, it split open and a little boy dragon and a little girl dragon emerged. Their bodies were covered with scales that shined like diamonds. They looked at me with curious eyes. Then they staggered over to me and rubbed their snouts in my fur. What could I do? I hugged them to me. Poor little guys. They had really picked the wrong time to hatch. Right in the middle of a battle. I felt terrible. I had to do something to stop this crazy fighting. In desperation, I dug through my bag looking for something, anything that might help. I pulled out the olive branch, a symbol of peace. Right then, I knew what I needed to do. I had to stop that useless battle. It was almost dawn, but the sky was dark. The battling dragons had taken a rest and all was quiet. It reminded me of something my old history teacher once talked about, the calm before the storm. Building peace. A world without wars and conflicts is hard to imagine, but each one of us can do our part to make peace happen. You can do this by respecting others and trying to discuss any problems fairly. The battle was about to start again. I took advantage of the silence and yelled as loudly as I could, "Stop, everyone! The egg has hatched. It's useless to keep fighting." No one answered. Uh-oh. Now you've done it, Geronimo, I thought. Why hadn't I just run away? I should have known no one would listen to a mouse dressed up in a night costume. I closed my eyes and hugged the two baby dragons. Oh, what a tragedy. But then all of a sudden, I began to hear the dragons murmuring. It started low at first. Then their voices grew louder. He's right. Why are we fighting? The egg has hatched already. Yeah, what's the point? This is ridiculous. Firebreath 3 stood in the middle of the battlefield, furious. What is the matter with you? He screamed at his army of dragons. Attack them! What are you waiting for? Cackle promised me that once Sterling was out of the picture, I'd be king of all the dragons. Now, attack, attack, attack! But no one moved. Finally, Sterling approached through the crowd. She spoke in a strong, clear voice. Valiant dragons of fire, we are all brothers here. Stop fighting. These two baby dragons have found their tamer. It is he, the 12th night. There will be no more war between us now, only peace. As soon as Sterling finished speaking, a ray of sun hit the scales of the two baby dragons' backs, creating a fabulous rainbow. Then all the dragons cheered together. Long live the 12th night! Normally I would have been embarrassed by all the attention, but I was so happy I took a bow. Long live peace. I was jealous. While everyone was cheering, Firebreath 3 tried to slip away. But Mixie Von Troll was on him like my Uncle Cheesebelly on a plate of donuts. Where do you think you're going, wise guy? She yelled. Sterling ordered her dragons, Ping and Pong, to seize him. They caught him in a second, dragging him, kicking and screaming by his tail. Then Sterling played her silver flute, and the other members of the Great Dragon Council gathered around. Firebreath 3, you have betrayed the dragon race. You have aligned yourself with the wicked Cackle, and you didn't hesitate to put the lives of the baby dragons at risk. And you tried to taint my honor and get me thrown out of the kingdom. Why did you do it? The princess demanded. Firebreath hung his head. I was jealous of you, princess, he admitted with a sniffle. I was jealous of your kingdom. I was jealous of your good relationship with Blossom. So one night when Cackle came and proposed that I steal the egg and make it look like your fault, I accepted. I told her everything, the hiding place and the secret password. Then I stole the egg and gave it to the trolls to look after. I am so sorry. I was wrong to betray you. I was wrong to trust the wicked witch, he sobbed. Right at that moment, Blossom, the queen of the fairies, and George, the king of dreams, arrived, riding a white unicorn. Jealousy. Jealousy makes us feel angry and hostile towards others. When we are jealous, we often feel bad about ourselves. If you feel jealous, try not to compare yourselves to others. Remember, everyone is different and everyone is special. Everyone bowed respectfully as they approached. When they arrived at the center of the clearing, George said, "We are thrilled that good and peace and justice have triumphed." Meanwhile, Blossom turned to me. Knight, once again you have brought harmony to the kingdom of fantasy. How can we repay you? She asked. Would you like your own unicorn and a gold watch? Or maybe tickets to the new fairy opera? I haven't been, but I hear it's delightful. I smiled. It would be fun to have my own unicorn. Imagine what my co-workers at the Rodden's Gazette would say. But in the end, I told the queen that I didn't want anything. She was such a kind person, and I really was just happy to help the kingdom of fantasy. Finally, Blossom addressed Firebreath. Firebreath, you let jealousy, envy, and the thirst for power poison your heart. You believed in Cackle's lies. I'm afraid we have no choice but to apply the dragon law and banish you far, far away from your kingdom, she said. Firebreath stared at the ground, looking miserable. I felt bad for him, so I dared to interrupt. Excuse me, Queen Blossom. I know I said I didn't want anything, but there is something that I would like to ask for. If it's not too late, I began. Everyone stared at me, stunned. They probably were thinking I had reconsidered the watch offer, but this was way more important than a piece of jewelry. What I wanted to ask for was a second chance for Firebreath. I know Firebreath messed up, but I think he understands his mistake. Everyone can change if they're given a chance, I said. I think he can improve himself. The queen smiled. Knight, your heart is large, and so it shall be. Now place your left paw on Firebreath's heart, she ordered. I flinched. I have to admit that even though I was feeling kindly toward Firebreath, he still scared me a little. But as I did, I was told. And when my trembling paw touched his scale-covered chest, the brand of light gave off a blue light that touched Firebreath's body like an electric shock. Then he opened his eyes wide. I was surprised to see they no longer looked angry. Firebreath sighed. Wow, I feel so happy and good. I know I made a mess of things, Queen Blossom. I would really like to try to make it up to all of the dragons. But how? He said.